HBO is going to be doing a new show. Wow, that was a little tough for me to say. HBO is going to be reintroducing the Scooby-Doo gang, Mystery Inc. gang, as Velma, an origin story for the Scooby-Doo gang. Now, you might have heard some news as far as the ethnic changes for certain characters. So we're going to be starting off with Fred, who remains Caucasian, but seems to have like a round detailed art style. We got a lot of highlights and color on his hair, shadows underneath his chin, and the eyes are more round. Daphne is going to be Asian, and and the art style is a little bit more sharp, less details. And then we're going to be going into Norville, not Shaggy. Shaggy doesn't exist. For whatever reason, not refuse. For whatever reason, they didn't want to name him Shaggy and be black. They wanted to name him Norville. I don't understand the choice behind that, seeing how Daphne is still called Daphne. But hey, it's here. And his art style reminds me of Total Drama Island. That's a little bit weird because going based on the picture they show for one of the promo pics, Fred has the best art style. All of theirs are different, but it seems like he has the most detail and work done. And as we go down, it's like the budget just gets cheaper and cheaper. No, seriously. If you haven't seen it already, Fred looks amazing. Daphne, okay, we're going different. Norville, no highlights. We're not going to add any shadows, a little bit of glare on the hairstyle, anything. Is the shirt at least going to... The shirt doesn't even have as much glow as Fred's shirt did at the top. Like the green, it's just more focused on the hair. The shirt's already green. I don't know, little gripes. And then Velma her ethnic background is going to be Indian or I believe East Asian. I may be wrong about that. It ain't not going to be worth like the 3-hour research. Research not going to take that long. East Asian Indian, and she's going to be officially lesbian. All right. Now, you might have heard certain discussions about that on the internet. Certain people are like, wow, how you, not people, but discussions about why change the ethnicities, if it's going to be an origin story, so on and so forth. It's a little confusing. I think as far as the ethnic changes and the different art styles visually, that's going to be more appealing. Every character sort of having their own art style. It's like, all right, my eyes aren't just going to be used to the same thing on the entire screen. Like everybody got their own little spice. But the real crime of HBO Max's Velma isn't the ethnic changes or the sexuality of any characters. It's the fact this show was pitched and created without Scooby-Doo. Without Scooby-Doo. When you think Mystery Inc., when you hear even the names Fred, Daphne, and Shaggy, I don't know why Norville and Shaggy and Velma, you think Scooby-Doo. You think of the dog. You think of a mammal with 4 legs that barks. He didn't make the cut. Now, some extra information. This is going to be a mature adult show, so we're going to see actual bodies being caught. It's not going to be everyone getting arrested. We're going to see people, when they go missing, it ain't going to be a good sign. It's a done deal. But Scooby-Doo is not going to be in this origin story, which doesn't make any sense on how this even got greenlit. Why? How? That's like remaking Pokemon, but without the Pokemon. It's just regular animals. Who would want to see that? Who? Not me, not this guy. So a little bit as to why Scooby-Doo didn't make the cut. When we were going, this is a Warner Bros. Executive, exact quote. When we were going into the show and thinking about adapting it, we wanted to be respectful. We didn't want to just kind of take this beloved characters and put them in outrageous or gross situations and say like, isn't it crazy we did that to Velma? So when we were thinking about what made it a kid's show and what makes it an adult show, the dog Scooby is what really seemed to, we couldn't get a take on that was like, exact words here. How can we kind of do this in a fun, modern way? It felt like what made the original version a kid's show was Scooby-Doo. That coincided with Warner Bros. Animation saying, hey, you can't use the dog. So we're like, great, this works out well. Now, whether the reason they weren't able to add Scooby-Doo on here is because of, gore, blood, and those kind of elements into the story, I could sort of buy, just for the fact that, for the most part, when I think of Scooby-Doo, I do think of a kid's show. That's like the same way you think of Winnie the Pooh, you think of the kids show and movie Winnie the Pooh. You don't think of The you don't think of a killer Winnie the Pooh. There was a recent horror movie that the killer has a Winnie the Pooh mask because something happened and they were able to do it. You think of Winnie the Pooh, you think kids. You think Scooby Doo, you think kids. So I could see why. My thing is, if that's the reason Scooby Doo isn't able to be on the show, why make the show at all? For the various points I mentioned before. But that's the reason Scooby Doo isn't going to be on here. And yeah, Velma, I was interested in the beginning. I loved the concept, Mystery Inc., the whole entire crew, but the adults, mature topics, actual murders. Because for the most part, most of us growing up watching Scooby Doo, we're adults now. We've grown, we've matured, we have a different taste for some of our entertainment, whether it is horror shows, murder mysteries, and to have some, adult humor, adult conversations instead of like little comments that as like, oh, okay, that was meant for adults. It's like, oh no, the whole show being geared towards it. It just loses 99.9% of the interest, the impact, and sort of the real, genuine inspiration behind the original shows and movies. I would like to highlight that the live action Scooby-Doos, they were not, mature. They weren't rated M. They didn't have blood, but we could sort of see how an actual mature show could be handled. All you really have to do for the live action movies is have a little bit more dead bodies and blood, and that's it. And you could see how even just having the things the way they are, just adding those elements already make it mature. To go a little bit deeper, the Scooby-Doo Zombie Island movie where people genuinely died, where souls were being snatched, where you had actual zombies, corpses come to life. The only thing that was missing in that movie was blood. Besides that, it was labeled as a kid's show, and it was exceptional. It was an exceptional movie. So what I'm saying is, I don't believe much of the changes on here as far as quality are going to make it worth watching. When we had multiple series, multiple animated and live action movies that held up incredibly well, gave the suspense, gave the tension, gave the mystery, the thrill, the rush, without going above and beyond. Above and beyond with the murders, above and beyond with the blood, mature topics. And honestly, I feel like it's just a way. Give me the budget. I'll make a better remake to this. So Scooby-Doo. Velma, it doesn't appear to be shaping up to be a good show, unfortunately. I mean, hey, I'll say this before I end it off. When you watch Scooby-Doo as a kid, who did you watch it for? It wasn't Fred. It wasn't Daphne, and it wasn't Velma. It was for Shaggy, not Norville, and Scooby-Doo. So if we're not going to have Scooby-Doo, why not use the creativity and resources to make an entirely new show being inspired from Scooby-Doo? I felt that would be a lot more creative, would show some extra effort, and you could do some callbacks to the show, have it within the same universe, and, genuinely go all out. Make it a cap. Make it a cap. Just something. Something that gives it that not animation, but that goofy aspect that the original had. Oh, by the way, if I remember correctly, they confirmed that Norville, he's going to be a pothead. They're like, we're keeping that the same, but it's like, of course. I mean, everybody could have guessed once you reach a certain age. Yeah, Scooby and Shaggy, they potheads. They smoking, they eating laced up edibles, and we're loving it. Let me know you guys' thoughts on Velma. The fact they don't have Scooby-Doo, are you going to give it a chance? And it's sort of the self-awareness I didn't cover it, the show makes with, there was like a video where Velma sort of talks about the changes in the show and how people are mad about it. It's like, you're talking about the wrong thing. Scooby's not in here. That's all I care about. Now, from